Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a super fun video. I got this idea from Ashley over at Library of a Silversaint. I will link her channel below. What she did in her video was she went through all of the books that she read by month throughout this year and then picked her favorite of the month. And I think that's what I'm going to do this time. I think going into next year, I will do them within my monthly summaries or monthly wrap-ups, whatever you want to call them. But for this year, this is how we're going to do it. The way that it's going to work is I'm just going to tell you the books that I finished in that month. So if I read it but didn't finish it, I'm not going to go ahead and mention it because I probably finished it in a different month and I'll just mention it later on. With my book of the month, that is the book that I will tell you a little bit more in depth about the summary rather than going into all of these books. We'd be here a long time. I have monthly wrap-ups for that. I'm not counting rereads, so if I did a reread, it cannot go on this list, even if it was my favorite of the month. So here we go. In January, I finished Life's Too Short, Valor, and Handle with Care. Now, Valor and Handle with Care were both a reread for me, so by default, the book of the month here is Life's Too Short. So for Life's Too Short, we're following Vanessa and this guy Adrian. And Vanessa, she is aware that her mother died when she was 30. Vanessa's very sure that she's going to end up dying the same way. And so she quits her job and she becomes a YouTuber. And she goes on adventures all the time. And she is very popular on YouTube. And her sister drops her baby off at Vanessa's and just dips out, right? So now Vanessa has to do mom stuff. She's day in and day out taking care of a newborn. Well, Adrian, he hears the baby crying through the wall and he's just like, okay, let me take a turn, let me help, whatever. And so they become friends and they decide that they're just going to be friends. So they're fighting off this attraction that they're feeling. I really love this book. This is an Abby Jimenez book, and Abby Jimenez is fantastic with her characters. They feel very real. The relationships feel very organic and dynamic, and just, if you haven't read anything by her, you really, really need to because she is just fantastic. In February, I finished The Way of Kings, Ruin, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Room, Fury of the Gods, and Do-Over. For February, my book of the month is going to be Fury of the Gods. This is by John Gwynne. This is book 3 to his Bloodsworn trilogy. Oh, this is fantastic. I loved this series. This series is the best. So we're following a various cast of characters. We've got Elvar, who is part of the Battlegrim. She's a Viking type of person. They don't call them Vikings, but that's what she is, right? We've got Varg, who is a slave who has escaped, and he's learning how to be a Viking on one of these ships. He's joined the Bloodsworn. And then we're also following Orca, and Orca is a mom whose son has been kidnapped and her husband's been murdered, and she's out for revenge. Okay. So we're following them throughout the world and they're living their life, but we've got these gods that are being like awakened, and these things are massive. Like, you see this cover here and you see this giant dragon. That's a god. Like, that's what we're looking at, right? Actually, there'll probably be a giant snake since the Fury of the Gods is the third one. So, be a giant snake. Like, that is a god. And we're following this cast of characters as they're dealing with this, and we've got other kids being kidnapped because they have blood of the gods in them. And we're also dealing with that fact of, they're almost like X-Men sort of thing, where you have to hide it. Like, if you have the blood of the god in you, you have to hide it. Otherwise, you're going to be like shunned in society. And right now, children are being kidnapped who have that blood. Oh, it is so good. I love it so much. John Gwynne does a fantastic job with his fight scenes and his characters. It's his best work yet. In March, I finished The Dragon in Winter, Of Fire and Blood, Jingle Bell Beard, Accidentally Amy, Devil Wears Prada, Better Than the Movies, and Part of Your World. My book of the month for March was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is amazing. Part of Your World is the first part of a new companion series that is separate from Life's Too Short. This one we are following Alexis, and she is a doctor, like a high society doctor. She's a legacy doctor. Everyone in her family line is a doctor of some sort. They're famous in that scope. She ends up, her car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. I don't remember why she was even there, but she was in the middle of nowhere, right? And she meets this dude. I think his name was Ryan. Let me check. Daniel. I was so wrong. His name was Daniel. So she meets Daniel, and Daniel ends up helping her out, and they hook up. Well, she ends up going back home, but they kind of start this like long distance sort of hookup situationship sort of thing because she can't fully commit to him because she doesn't really want to be with somebody who isn't high society or someone her family is not going to approve of. And she's also dealing with her ex-husband living in her house. Like, he won't leave. Okay. So she's dealing with all of that. And Daniel's dealing with his family legacy, which is this like bed and breakfast sort of place that he's attempting to run and trying to keep afloat because it's his whole family's legacy, right? And it's definitely your like wrong side of the tracks sort of story, but more adult and definitely so good. I love this. Like, Abby Jimenez is fantastic as a romance writer. So in April, this was the time when I was going through a lot and I only finished one book, which was Fangirl Down. So by default, that is the best book that I read that month. But I didn't like it. So here we are. It it was fine. We're following this dude. I don't remember his name. It's like Wethington or Wellington, something like that. And he goes by his last name. And he is a golfer. And he used to be really good, but he's kind of like lost his mojo, whatever. And so now he's garbage. And I mean garbage. And he's such a jerk. Like, when we meet him with our main character. What was her name? I want to say it was like Becky or something. Give me a second. Okay, so I was close. His name is Wells Whitaker, and her name is Josephine. Okay, so when we meet him with Josephine, like, she's already like known him and has been like his biggest fan and supporter for the longest time, right? So she goes to one of his golfing tournaments or whatever, and she has this giant sign that like has "Go Wells" or whatever. Oh, that's why I thought it was like a B because he calls her Belle because of that. Okay. Wells Bell or something like that. That's why I was thinking it was like a B. But anyways, so when we meet him, he destroys her sign that she made. Like, just trashes it. Just trashes it for no reason. Like, how much of a jerk do you have to be to do that to a fan? He only becomes friends with her because he kind of needs her. He needs a caddy, and her shop has been like destroyed. She runs a golf shop and it was destroyed, right? Well, she doesn't have a whole lot of money because she made some really bad financial decisions. And so he feels bad for her. And so he takes her on tour with him as his caddy. And he does really well in these tournaments in order to make money to give to her, right? That's fine. We can be redeemed. But he's not very nice at all throughout the whole story. Now, I will preface this, okay? I was probably not in the best headspace for any kind of romance novel at the time, right? So, my opinion could very well be swayed and biased because of what I was going through, but I hated this. I did not like him at all. I didn't see their connection at all. I mean, they would have decent moments occasionally. I did not like him. So, yeah, that's a bummer. May was much better though. In May, I finished Swordcatcher, The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting, Just for the Summer, Wrath, and Beautiful Ugly. In May, my book of the month was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Listen, Abby Jimenez is top of the list for a reason. She is fantastic. Just for the Summer was a book that we read in towards the end of April, and I finished it in early May. And this one, I listened to the audiobook with a friend on our trip to Nashville, and we had the best time listening to this. Justin in this book is the best book boyfriend ever. Like, He is perfect. Like, he is absolutely fantastic, right? So in this one, we are following Justin and Amber. Amber answered Justin's Reddit post. Okay. He made this Reddit post, the whole "Am I the asshole" sort of thing, because he had a friend who ended up dating his ex-girlfriend, or she left him for the friend or whatever, something like that. And so he kind of got his revenge and all these things, and it was just really funny. And so she answered back, and they connected on the fact that they both will date somebody, and then the very next person their ex dates, they end up getting married. So it's kind of like, what was that movie? Like Good Luck Chuck or whatever, Good Luck Charlie, whatever. It's that same concept. So what they decide to do is they decide to date each other for a month and sort of like cancel out their bad luck so that the next person they meet, they can go on and get married and they'll kind of meet who they're going to meet, right? They end up having the best time, like the absolute best time. They are so great together. They are so cute and funny, and they just have great chemistry. Like, the chemistry leaps off the page. And Justin is so good to her, and they're great together. Now, something that I've learned this year is that I like a romance novel that has more depth to it than just dealing with the romance. And so Amber is dealing with the fact that I don't know that her name's Amber. Emma is her name. Her mom's name is Amber. Okay. So with Emma is who we're following, right? Well, she is dealing with her mom, Amber, and Amber is a mess. Amber was in and out of her life constantly. She was never stable. Emma lived in foster care a lot growing up, and she ended up living with her friend Maddie. Like, Maddie's parents took her in, and she grew up with Maddie, and Maddie is the only person in her life who she lets in all the way in, right? Because she has so many trust issues and relationship issues. And so she's dealing with that kind of thing throughout this novel. And Amber comes in and out of her life, and she feels responsible for her mother, all of these things, right? Well, Justin is also dealing with his own family issues. His mom stole some money and ended up having to go to jail for it. And so Justin is really mad at her because now he has to be responsible for his three younger siblings, one of which is like 7, 8, like she's really young, right? And so they're dealing with their family dynamics as well as dealing with each other and trying to date and get rid of this curse and all those things. And it's just so great. And it's so funny. I laughed out loud so much in this story. It was fantastic. In June, I only finished 2 books. There's The Au Pair Affair and My Friends by Frederick Bachman. My Friends by Frederick Bachman is my book of the month for this month. I loved this. This was so much fun. I heard a lot of mixed reviews about it going into it, so I was a little bit nervous, but I ended up having a great time. In My Friends, we're following Louisa mostly. She is our present day timeline, and Louisa grew up in foster care. She actually ended up running away from her foster care because of the fact that they were so abusive and horrible, and she only had one friend in the world. But when her friend died, she ended up running away. Like, she just couldn't do it anymore. She's like, you can't live in that house and not have an ally. Like, you just can't. Like, it's a death sentence. And so she ends up running away. Well, she loves art, and there's this one piece of art that she absolutely loves, and she ends up breaking into this museum type of thing. I don't know if it was just like a showcase or if it was an actual museum or what, but they were showing off this painting so that they could auction it off, right? Well, she breaks in so that she can see it, and they kind of chase her out, and she ends up meeting people who were involved with the creation of this painting that she loves. Well, she ends up going on a whole journey with these people and learning about how this piece of art came to be. And we also, as the reader, we get that timeline separately from Louisa. So we are listening to that story being told from the present day. So then we get the flashback and we get to see these kids growing up. And this painting is an ocean, but within the ocean, there are 3 kids in the ocean. I guess I don't know how it's painted in a way that most people don't see the three kids in it. They just see the ocean, or well, they call it the sea. And Louisa sees the kids. And so she's getting to learn about their childhood and their friendship and their loyalty. And Frederick Bachman does a great job with his characters and their interactions with each other and slowly unraveling a story. Like, you'll get a scene and you'll see it one perspective, and then later on in the story, you'll get that same scene, but you'll get it from a different perspective, and you'll get more context and more nuance to that scene, and it just gives it more layers. And it's just, he's fantastic, and I absolutely love anything he writes. In July, I finished Blade Itself, Steven, Love Wager, Betting on You, One Perfect Couple, The Push, and One of the Girls. This one, I chose Betting on You. Betting on You is written by Lynn Painter, and Lynn Painter does a great job with her coming of age stories. I've read 3, 4 of her stories this year that are just little teen romances coming of age. They're fantastic. And like, the teenagers don't read as like childish, which I think helps a ton. And I love a good coming of age story. I grew up on like Sarah Dessen and those coming of age stories. Fantastic. But so this one, we are following Bailey and Charlie. Bailey and Charlie ended up meeting on a plane. They sat side by side when they were going home from being with their parents. So like, both their parents are split and they live in different places, so they have to go on a plane and go home, right? Charlie has been around the block with this divorce and stuff and dealing with that. Well, Bailey has not. This is the first time, and so she's having a hard time dealing with it, and Charlie's already like cynical about it and just like whatever. He is a typical moody teenager and she's not. And so they butt heads a ton. They kind of go back and forth about it on the plane, and then a year later they kind of see each other again, and he's living in her town now, and they are actually working at the same place. And they end up having this friendship, and they make this bet where Bailey's friend is going to cheat on her boyfriend with this dude that they work with now. Charlie betted that she would cheat, and Bailey bet that she would not cheat. And so they're kind of like going back and forth and keeping track of this relationship. And they also have Bailey's dynamic with her mother and this new dude who's coming in and as the boyfriend, and Bailey's having a hard time dealing with it. And so Charlie kind of helps her through that in the opposite way. So he's very much like, well, let's just run him off. Let's get him kicked out of your mom's life, like that sort of thing. And so they're having to deal with those dynamics. And I mean, of course, it's a teen romance. So they're going to end up having feelings for each other and dealing with friendships and all of these things. And I just had the best time. In August, I finished The Last Mrs. Parrish and The Wives. These are 2 great thrillers, but I definitely have to go with The Last Mrs. Parrish. I've talked about this a ton on my channel, but if you happen to miss those videos, I will share with you again because it's the best thing ever. So we're following Amber, and Amber is attempting to befriend this woman, Daphne. Daphne's high society. Daphne has money. Daphne has a great husband. He's super doting and like the perfect partner in public, and he's got lots of money and he's good looking and all these things, right? Well, Amber wants to infiltrate Daphne's life and take her husband from her. So we're following Amber as she is attempting to pull this off, right? And this was fantastic. This was so much fun. That mid book twist had me binging the rest of the story. Like, I could not put this down. This was the greatest thing. Absolutely loved it. This is one of my top books of the year because it is so good. Now, I know Amber doesn't sound like someone you want to follow, but let me tell you, you need to follow, and you should follow because, man, it is so good. You will not be disappointed if you read this book. Like, if you're disappointed by this book, I don't know how. Like, don't know how you can be disappointed by this book. It is so great. Like, it's very much a character thing, but it's also like got so much manipulation and like treachery and the twist. Best twist of the year. In September, I finished Before They Are Hanged, Nothing Like the Movies, Sometimes I Lie, Night of the Mannequins, and Rock, Paper, Scissors. Now, I know I just said that The Last Mrs. Parrish had the best twist ever, but you know what? Sometimes I Lie had probably an equally great twist, and that is why it's the book of the month for what month are we on? September. Because, oh, Sometimes I Lie was fantastic. It was the greatest. So, this is by Alice Feeney, and I've been on an Alice Feeney kick this year. Well, we're following this girl Amber. I don't know what it is with stories in Amber. I don't I don't know. But so we're following Amber, and she comes right out the gate and tells you that she's in a coma and sometimes she lies. Okay, so we know that she's an unreliable narrator. Well, she thinks that her husband is the one who put her in the coma. She doesn't know how, she doesn't remember it. So we're getting this story in a couple of different timelines. We're getting her timeline of the present day with her being in the coma. She's like present, but like can't talk or anything. Like she can just like understand. Well, we're also following like a couple of weeks before the coma. And then we're also following these journal entries from childhood. And we're trying to piece together what happened and how she ended up in the coma, who did it, why they do it, what all's happening, what is Amber lying about. And that mid book twist had my mind blown. Like, I saw the story in a completely different way after seeing this twist. Like, I was so shook. Like, so shook. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, I just, it took me away. Like, it blew me away. You need to read it. I can't even tell you anything else. Like, the twist is why you need to read it. I finished a lot of things in October as well. I finished Words of Radiance, After I Do, Rulebook, Pucking Sweet, Dating Dare, Brother, Puck Me Secretly, and The Girl in 6E. That's a lot of books to read in October. So, my book of the month of this one is Brother. I have talked about this one so much on my channel. It even has its own video because I loved it so much. So, this one, we were following this boy, Michael. I mean, I say boy, but he's like early 20s. And he is living with his family who are cannibals. And he's kind of like, why am I here? What am I doing? This is not fun. And he's been helping with this cannibalism, kidnapping these girls since he was little. Like, this has been his whole life. And it's all he's ever known. He's never really met other people. Well, his brother ends up taking him out to a record store. He meets a girl. He starts dating her and all these things, but now he's got to like make a choice because you can't have both, right? Most girls, when you tell them you're a cannibal, they're going to run away. So you can't really tell her that. So he can't really like bring her into the fold, right? But he also can't like run away with her because his family is crazy. I'm talking so much abuse, so much fear, manipulation, just toxic, like horrible, horrible, horrible people. I mean, of course they kill people, right? But we're following him as he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. And we're also following his brother, Ray. We're following his side of the story from when they were children. So we're getting like their coming of age and their growing up and their childhood from his perspective, but we're getting like present day from Michael. Super interesting. This is a very character driven story. So if you don't like character driven and like slow reads, this is not for you at all. This is not for you. This is not fast paced at all. The ending is everything I could have wanted. But if you can't handle a slow book and just like digging into the characters, you're not gonna like this. This is definitely probably just a me book. Like, I loved this. In November, I finished My Sister's Keeper, Home Game, His and Hers, Penalty Box, High Risk Rookie, and The Women. And I chose High Risk Rookie for this one. This was one of my hockey romances that I read. This one was fantastic. I loved this one. This one, we are following Krista, who is a sports agent, and she ends up going down to Mexico and she meets this guy, Levi. And she's attempting to sign him. That way he can come play hockey and she can be an agent for him and she can get on the Forbes 500 list and be, this well known agent, right? Well, while they're there, they end up getting drugged and then they get married. which is a really bad look if you're going to represent somebody. So they try to keep that on the down low, and then he comes with her to Vancouver to sort of try out for this hockey team in Vancouver. It's the Vancouver Wolves. This is a companion series, so it's the Vancouver Wolves companion series. This is the fourth one. Levi is dealing with the fact that his team hates him. At least somebody hates him. He's not entirely sure who, because he keeps getting sabotaged. Like his laces are slashed, his chargers go missing. He can't perform well because he keeps having to deal with all these outside factors. Him and this dude keep trash talking and fighting, and it's just a mess, right? Meanwhile, Krista is dealing with her family dynamic and the fact that her ex is a trash panda. Like, he is absolutely terrible. And actually, honestly, her mother is a trash panda too, but she's she's a secondary villain. We're dealing with this ex boyfriend that we're dealing with. He's constantly popping up, and Levi gets to be like all big and macho and like, leave her alone or you'll have to answer to me, sort of thing. And it's just so much fun. Absolutely loved it. I love a hockey romance. I don't even care if it's any good. I don't care. We don't even get much hockey in it. I love a hockey romance. They're just so much fun. And I really like Krista. Krista's very feisty, and Levi kind of gives it back to her. And oh, they're great together. The last month of the year, so I am well aware that we are not fully done with December. So at the time of recording, I have currently finished Gardens of the Moon, 10 Rules for Faking It, Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret. However, I have 2 hours left of Breaking the Ice, and I will likely finish Last Argument of Kings and On Thin Ice. Last Argument of Kings is a reread, and I already don't much care for Breaking the Ice. And so I don't know how much more I'm going to like On Thin Ice, since it's the same author, it's the same world, it's the same teenagers sort of thing. So we're going to go ahead and say that my book of the month is Gardens of the Moon, which is wild because I struggled through this book. Not as much as Fangirl Down, but if you watch my vlog, you know that I had no idea what was happening in this book most of the time. Now, the things that I did understand, I really loved, and I really liked some of the characters that were in it. I was just very lost. Like, this book is very intimidating. Erickson does not hold your hand at all in this book. He literally drops you in this world and then just says, keep up. And it takes you like 18 hours of an audiobook to keep up. Like, you're not keeping up quick. And so it was a good time. We're following this world while they are dealing with a lot of turmoil. We've got this one war that is happening with the Empire, and we've also got these like we're in the city, right? And from what I can tell, we've got people who are either attempting to stop this war or attempting to help it, or they're trying to start their own wars. We've got a lot of political stuff happening, a lot of strings being pulled, and you don't know who's who or whose side they're on. It's a lot. It's a lot. We've got some like demon hounds, hellhounds, I think is what they're called. We've got dragons, we've got cravens, we've got magicians, they're actually, what are they called? They're called mages, I think, in here. It's the same thing. We've got assassins, we've got thieves, we've got soldiers, we've got all kinds of things happening in this story, which is all like things that I love in a story. The only downfall of this one is that I didn't understand as much as I wanted to of the story. But that's okay. We'll deal with it. Now, I know some of you are probably like, well, what if you read something else and then that's your book of the month? I will be lucky if I get all 3 of these finished and something else finished. Like, the chances of me finishing something else. Oh, I am reading something else. I'm also reading The Thursday Murder Club. That's not on my list. Why is that not on my list? Man, I suck. Okay. So I'm also reading that, but that's also not going to be my book of the month. Okay. It's fine. But so, if I were to finish those books that I just listed off, right? If I were to finish those and finish something else, it's not likely to happen. Yeah, they're audiobooks for the most part, but I just started Last Argument of Kings and it's like 26 hours, I think, something like that. So the chances of me actually finishing those plus more is very small. Not going to do it. And I already have a plan. If I end up finishing these and I do have significant time left, then I can start on Veiled Throne, which is an 800, no, I think it's 900 pages. It's a lot of pages. So definitely won't finish that. And there's another audiobook, a couple more audiobooks that I have on deck. I'm not going to finish. So there's no way. Okay. So this is the list. I can say on good authority that this is the list. But so yeah, all of that to say, these are my books of the month for 2025. Starting next year, we will do it monthly. Maybe a wrap up at the end, but I definitely want to do it throughout the year at the very least so that I can have better descriptions of those first few books, because as you could see, my descriptions were very short early on, but as we got closer and closer to like the present day, they got a lot better because I could remember more of the stories. So that's definitely going to be a bonus of doing it by month. But what books did you love each month? Or if you've got one this year that you love, let me know in the comments and I will see you in the next one.